All right, new project. What you're looking at is the engine of my 74L Camino, and you're looking at a Carter AFB 9635 SA is the model number of this carb. And I think it's got a little problem, mostly because this carb is the result of bashing together two 9635 SAs. Because I had a little problem with the Holly Street Avenger about 3 years ago. That said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this thing off. And I'm going to take you through rebuilding the carb. I've got a kit from the carburetor guy I ordered online, cost about 27 bucks shipped. And I'm going to go through and give this thing the rebuild it needs. Now, the other thing I'll have you note is, you can't see it too well, but I've been getting accumulations down in this area under the carb of kind of like oil. Here, looks like oil. Now, that could be the manifold leaking. The bolts are all tightened in that, but I'm getting it on both sides, and I'm noticing it's coming from underneath both sides of the carb and nowhere else. So we're going to look at that too. Okay, the first thing you're going to notice is I've been pulling all the wires and or the hoses and such off of this thing, but now I'm disconnecting the fuel line. And you'll notice that I've got A&N fittings on here, so I'm using a special A&N wrench so I don't screw them up. So okay, you can also see I got rags under there to catch any gas that comes out. Doesn't take much. There we go. We got the gas line free. Next thing we'll do is get the vacuum line off the back for the brake booster, and should be able to pull the bolts off of the studs and get this carb right off here. All right, we've got the carb off, as you can see. And one of the things I was talking about is, see that little mess? And let's get it to where the light, we're not blocking it. But you kind of see right down there, that's what was dripping off the side of the carb. And on the other side, we have similar mess. Right about there. Right about there. All right, and here's the carb on the bench. Typical AFB 9000 series. Something interesting I noticed under there, though. Look at that. Something's up with that. Look at the color of the fuel, too. You'd think this thing had never been cleaned. A lot of brown fuel came out. Look for leaks at the throttle shaft. Not that we could really see too much, but if anything's obvious, look for any cracks in the base. Stuff like that. Yep. So that's that. Okay, first thing I did was I actually swapped. You can see we got rid of the crusted, rusted up one. I swapped it from another old carb I had. I told you I bashed this together from two carbs, and here's another AFB. And you can see, I kind of just moved it over there. So now I'm actually going to start tearing it down. So I've been looking it over, and it's dried out from all the cleaner. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this top off. And what that's going to mean is all these perimeter screws here are going to take two different size, basically it's a Torx driver, if you can see that, and it's a T28. And the smaller ones inside here, which basically hold the metering rods in, that is going to be a T or 15. So that's what we're going to do. We'll start with here first, get these measuring rods out. I usually like to loosen it and then just kind of flip this little cap over. And it'll just pop up. Let us get a look at that metering rod too. Check it, see if it's bent, what it looks like. You can see it's stepped. So, looking for bent or damage or anything like that, this one looks pretty good. And if you look down in there, you'll see there's a little spring. I have to grab it with the metering rod. There you go. Oop, we'll get it. There we go. I'll do the same for this side and take the perimeter bolts out of this air horn. One of the things I like to do is kind of get down in there, spray a little carb cleaner in there just before I pull the horn off. Just to clean the passage out a bit. Next thing to take out is to get the accelerator linkage unhooked here, basically to the arm for the accelerator pump here. I usually like to loosen this, which gives me some give to let me get this S hook out so I can get that removed. One thing to note, when you put these things back in, I've actually had this happen. I like to put a little bit of Loctite on the end of this bolt. I've actually had these back out, and that's kind of dangerous. I've actually had to get the throttle get stuck because of it. It literally would hang up. So, also, as you see, I'm putting things on a little tray here, kind of a catch-all. I also have a magnetic dish that I'm catching parts in. Actually, that's over here. This little thing has to keep bolts in it. Try to keep stuff organized. AFBs are actually easier than most carbs to work on, but there's still things that can get lost. But I'm gonna go ahead and unhook this little S thing here, since we got it free. Okay, we got this bolt out. What I'm gonna do then now is, because there's not enough give here and I don't wanna break anything, I'm gonna go ahead and just take the rest of these perimeter bolts out around here. And then I should be able to get enough of slack to get this unhooked here, and then the top horn will come off. A couple other things. There's a small clip pin that are removed from this particular piece of linkage here. That'll let you get this particular piece of linkage free. Right here. There's another cotter pin right here attached to the choke linkage. See, I've almost got it loose here. Let's see if I can get you an actual shot of that. Right here. Don't lose this either. Sometimes you can just grab it, but if you don't have a drift or an awl or something like that, you can usually just kind of grab it with a paper clip like I'm doing here. There we go. And this is why the tray is good. It catches little piece parts. So, but with that, let's see if we can actually get this free. There we go. See, we got enough leverage to get this free. We should be able to pull the top right off. And there it is. Air horn is separated. You can see our floats. So everything is looking good there. There's our accelerator pump sticking out. And we're just going to kind of look at the condition of things. Alright, I've been cleaning up things, blowing out passages, and I've actually got some grit. You can see that's been coming out of this carb, so it definitely wasn't helping things. You can see there's the spring for the accelerator pump. Should have a new one in the kit for that. See, this carb's got a little bit of use on it. But I've been going through and basically doing through the air bleeds, primary and secondary, running through that so that we clear those out, make sure those are good. Everywhere there's a little hole or something like that, just take the straw and put the carburetor cleaner through there, blow it out. Next thing I'm going to do is pull out this set of jets here. Not jets. I want to pull this out. Okay, we've got this off, and what I did was take it and flip it over, and right in that little hole in the center there, little carb cleaner, and shoot through that just to make sure that these are clear. Now I'm going to actually pull all of these out, primary and secondary, and clean them out. Continue on. Okay, I've done a pretty good job of cleaning up the base. All the little parts here. A whole lot of gunk and crap that was in there, more than I expected. But we're good. Now what we're going to do is go for taking this air horn apart. There's your two floats. By the way, when you're looking at float drop, okay, you see the edge of the float there? Right here. You measure it from the top of the float to the top of the air horn. Now we're going to take it apart. Because we got to get the gasket off. The float here. There's nothing, these just kind of stay here, so there's no cotter pin or anything like that. Let's see, there's the needle and seat. What they do is they just kind of push on that. It's got kind of spring loaded. It's kind of like a toilet tank valve there. It's just goes on there and opens, shuts, opens, shut. Wow. This oxygenated gas is doing a number on these. I've never seen one come apart like that. So I'm trying to keep this stuff organized. Look at the color of this gasket too. That's the oxygenated fuel. It's turned out a kind of a grayish tan. Let's see, this gasket's already got a break in it. It's important too, don't destroy this gasket too soon, because you need to match it up from the kit, because there's multiple gaskets in the kit, and you need the right one or you'll block air bleeds and such. And that exposes the guts of the air horn. Okay, this looks a little silly, but what I'm doing is I'm just trying to check to see if these floats are good. Brass floats I prefer, but they do have over time they can develop pinhole leaks, which will allow them to sink, and then you have a flooding condition. You can see the first thing is they're floating pretty nice here. But the other thing I'm looking for is I'm looking for any air bubbles. Looking to see if there's any bubbles at all when I hold it underwater. And I'm seeing nothing. Shaking it too, I don't hear anything. Nope. So, just a quick little way to check floats. Okay, I don't know how accurate that is, but works for me.